My interview today is with Daniel, a 30-year-old successful informational specialist. We've actually never met in person, but I've seen your posts on a Facebook group, and I've also seen your interview on another channel, and found out that you've been diagnosed with autism. And as a mother of autistic child, but a child with autism, it is incredibly interesting for me to hear your story, and I'm very interested to talk to you. Mainly, I will be asking the questions from mother's perspective, because I would like to know, like many of us, what I can do better to help my child to grow and develop. So you can say a few words about yourself.
Thanks, Elena. My name is Daniel. I am 30 years old. I live in Israel for the last more than 20 years. I work as an information specialist in a research company. In my free time, I like to listen to music, play video games, go for walks, to meet friends, to write, and just to live the life the way it suits me, the way it does good to me. I also like to listen to scary stories on YouTube to put, I don't know, for example, during the work, I don't know, to put a scary story.
You mean like horror films, or
and just like working together. And I also like to read books, although it's more audiobooks in the last time.
What you said scary stories? You mean like horror films, or like scary stories?
It's more like a person, for example, a YouTuber that takes a scary story, a narrator that reads it, makes a video, puts scary related pictures, and I'm putting it on the background, and in the meantime I'm doing some other stuff. It can be work, it can be games, it's anything you can think of.
Okay. Okay, interesting. What are your first memories of yourself? Since what age do you remember yourself?
One of my first memories was when I was 2-3 years old. Wait a second. No. I remember when my mom took me to work. Back then, she worked in musical library. So she needed at one time to take care of some business, so she left me for like a few minutes in the hallway. When she got back, she saw me in the middle of the hallway singing aloud the Tumbalalaika song. Well, come to think of it, to remembering it right now, it's it's embarrassing me. I barely remember it, only small details. But to be honest, I always liked music. This is one of my first actual memories. I have a few more. Do you want me to mention them?
Do you sing? I mean, you said that you like music. Do you sing? Do you have like good ear? And
yeah, there were some songs on a foreign language that I managed to learn by hearing. It took a few months of practice, but yeah, I actually come in from a musical family. My grandfather from my mother's side, he was just a second. Think I know how it says in English. Google for help. That what happens when English it's not your main language. Here it is.
Right.
My grandfather, he was a cantor in a synagogue. It is a holy praying place for us Jews. So I think it started from him. Well, my mother also finished the conservatorium on the piano class. She played guitar.
Okay, so you're having musical genes, all right?
Yeah.
But did you feel different back then in the childhood, and what actually made you feel different?
Well, I didn't think about it back then, but I think now that I'm looking backwards, I think there was something. For example, I told jokes that only I understood. For example, I took scenes from video games that probably only I knew about. I copied it, them, but no one understand it. No one understood it. No one understood me. So kids from my class were abusing me both verbally and physically. You know, they say that kids, they are the flowers of life, but these flowers of life, unfortunately, can be cruel as well, especially when you're not like them. It's very
So you mean
it was very
you were
difficult.
so you mean you were bullied, yes?
Yep, I actually I was bullied in school. You know, I studied in advancing class when I was in sixth grade. It was a special class for kids with various kinds of difficulties. It's some difficult with studies, some difficult with behavior. And when I started middle school, it was seventh grade. I actually started to learn in a like officially small class in a PDD class, pervasive developmental disorder, a wider spectrum than the autistic spectrum. So maybe this is why there was a gap between the students, between themselves and between me and them. So
Okay.
for a long time, I didn't understand why are they behave like they behave. You know, try to imagine it for a second. An 11-year-old boy comes to a new class, sees behavior that he doesn't used to it. For example, someone made moves with their hands. Someone talked to himself. I had no idea what I'm doing there. I had no idea what's going on with me, and I was afraid to ask the teachers. Probably I didn't even think about it back then. So, so these are the things that actually I felt different with, although I started to understand it later.
So actually, you were as if put to the special class, yeah. So, and actually, it didn't make you feel better, really. It made you feel worse, yes.
I didn't know how to accept myself. I had no idea what autism is. Unfortunately, I find out about this when someone from my class uh, was cursing, and he used the word autist as a curse for another classmate. So as you can guess, not the best way to learn what autism is. But
Yeah.
I didn't know it back then. I had no idea, and I think that I wasn't even interested in knowing what autism is. I had my games, I had my hobbies, and I didn't need anything else back
Yeah.
then.
Well, how did you feel about your mother's support? Would anything you want her to have done differently, or more not to do, or to do more?
I think my mother, in general, my parents didn't understand what was going on with me. Actually, the first one who saw that I was different, it was actually the school psychologist. It was in fifth grade. She noticed that my behavior were different, weird in quotes. So she called my mom and advised her to make a diagnosis, to meet with a specialist, and to check what is going on with me. Okay, we did. We went to a specialist, and turned out I was diagnosed with Asperger. It's a high
Function.
functioning autism. There are actually a few stages of
Yeah.
functioning, and found out
So
that I was
when
different,
when
but
when was that? When have you been diagnosed?
it was in fifth grade. Um, I was 10 years old, but I still didn't want to believe that I'm different for a long time until my father told me that as is a few weeks before I started 12th grade. I remember he called me to the balcony. We started to talk, and then he told me, "You have an Asperger." And it was I couldn't deny it. It was a bare fact. So it, I was shocked. So then I knew it for sure. I think
And what has
Mhm.
yeah
Yeah, sorry, I missed the other part of your question about what my mother could done differently. Maybe to ask a specialist on her own earlier. Maybe that would been help me to understand actually what is going on with me.
you mean like to
And
have this early intervention? Yeah.
I think it could help.
And what can you say about overall support? What has really helped you, like some training, or maybe did you have any special diet, or did you some activities or social activities? What has really helped you and made you feel better?
Probably my hobbies. During the time I was bullied in elementary school, it was mostly uh, sometimes in the fourth and mainly in the fifth grade. I had my video games. I had my hobbies. I had uh, anime cartoons that I like to watch. For those of you who might not know, anime it's a Japanese
Yeah.
cartoons. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them I grew up on, and I like them very, very much. I
Lots,
had my friends.
lots of children like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very it's very famous. The Japanese are genius when it comes to anime. I had my friends. I liked to draw. Back then, it was mostly maps of cities, continents. I like geography very much, even today.
Hmm. Interesting.
Uh, I do remember when I was bullied, the moment I entered the school bus, I completely forgot those situations. So I guess I'm structured like that, but that if there is an unpleasant situation, I forget it. I let it go
Immediately.
probably a few seconds after it happens. But
Mm-hmm.
if there are some negative feelings after that, it takes some more time for me
Okay.
to let it
Or
go.
was there lifetime or period of time in your life when you felt especially vulnerable, maybe teenage years?
I can't say I felt vulnerable. I can't really say it's the correct word. It was more like I didn't have any choice but to start to grow up. When I finished high school, me and my family moved to a different city, and then I actually started to learn how is it like to be a grown-up man. For example, go to pharmacies
What
to take
age
some
was
med.
it? High school. Okay.
I was 20. In
Mm-hmm.
Israel, I'm sorry, there are 12 years of learning in school, and after that, both boys and girls go into the army. Girls for 2 years, boys for 3 years. For special people or other people with any difficulty,
Special needs people, yeah. Mm-hmm.
special
People
needs
with
people,
special needs, yeah.
yeah, the people with special needs, they can stay at school for 13 and 14th grade, technically to study till you're 21 years old instead of the army.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I stayed for 2 more years, but I left the school when I was 19, and something like half a year after I finished high school, I moved to a new city. So actually, this is when all started. To go to a bank, use the credit card, go to buy medicine in a pharmacy, and so on. Back then, there were even moments that I didn't want to do it, but life put me in a situations that I didn't have any choice. For example, I don't know, when one of my parents needed my help, I don't know, with medicine or with money or with anything else, I couldn't say no because it's actually someone from my family that needed my help.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say I was vulnerable, but it was more like I could do nothing about such moments, that I didn't want, drastically just to start an independent grown-up life, but I didn't have any choice.
Okay. Do you see or feel that people notice that you perceive things differently? Do you need to explain to them?
Mostly no, because as a high-functioning autist, people do not notice that I have any difficulties. Maybe a specialist, I know, a clinical psychologist, a regular psychologist, a social worker, maybe they can notice. However, when I went to a job interviews, I told my future bosses that, you see, X, Y, Z, I have Asperger. It means I have some social difficulties with communications with people, and but it doesn't actually it doesn't bother me to live. I felt that it was right for me to put the cards on the table, that my future bosses would see me sincere as is, mostly in such situations.
Mm-hmm. And what is the most challenging for you? I mean, in life in general or in everyday life, or
Well, mostly it's the most challenging is when it comes to communication with other people. Sometimes I see a person, girl mostly, that she looks she looks very cute. She looks very inviting. Something in how she laughs, talk, looks. Something in it that wants me to come, to approach her, and to befriend her. But then my mind tries, not tries, he does actually, sends me all kind of thoughts. What if she wouldn't want? What if she will think of me as a weirdo? And and these thoughts, even if they're just in my head, it's very difficult for me to control them. But in the last year, well, the beginning of 2023, I start to remind myself that all those thoughts are in the head. Not always I succeed, but I'm trying. Another thing is to let go of some negative feelings from any conflict situations. I'm not a conflict guy. I don't like it at all. And when there were conflict situations, and I know there were things that I was afraid to say. After that, it was very difficult for me to let it go, because I always thought that I didn't say this and I didn't say that, and I'm not brave enough, a coward, if I'm not if I don't have any confidence to conflict with other people. With the time being, I understood that courage, it's not only in fighting. For everyone, it's individual. For example, for someone, a courage is to come to approach any person and sorry for the high language, kick someone's ass for someone. And for someone, courage is to enter the stage and tell anything about their difficulty excuse me. Uh, I'm sorry,
With
English. It's not my main language, so
difficulty with something, yeah.
Yeah, the difficulties are different.
Yeah. So actually, mainly what interferes with your relationship with other people is your insecurity, you mean? Yes, because you feel a bit like shy to approach other people. Yes, am I right?
Yeah, now it's less than before, but yeah, once it was very common. It happened to me almost all the time.
And there is a myth that people with autism do not understand jokes and sarcasm. What do you think about it? Is it true? How is it in your case?
Yes and no. I heard about the fact that not all autistic people understand jokes. To be honest, I never thought about it. Although once I was also a very serious guy, I didn't tell any jokes, was afraid to say anything funny. I was afraid that other people will look at me as a weirdo. But it took some time. I started to be more open, and today I'm using humor always. It's a part of my life. Maybe I have one theory about why people with autism might not understand jokes. Maybe because these jokes are maybe complicated for them, and we autistic people, we are simple. We can accept things as they are. Although when it comes to me, I don't understand jokes no matter how good they are. For me, it's easier to play with words. For example, what example I can give you? For example, what doesn't kill us make us stronger. So instead, I can say what doesn't kill us will regret that it didn't kill us. Something like that.
So you mean like that? Well, it is. It is
Yeah.
quite funny. Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, thank you so much for your time. And many mothers like me with fears look into the future of their children, and you sharing your story gives us all hope. And I also know that you would like to say a few words, some advice.
Yeah.
So please go ahead.
Yeah, it's true. I do like to talk. Well, as it was seen in all this interview. Yes, I actually would like to say a few words. You know, I completely understand that you look in your child's future with fear. I completely understand that. I'm not a parent, so I don't know how it feels. The uncertainty, this is what's actually this is what's actually scary. What's important, it's just the fact that you will be with your kids, be there for them, support them. If they don't want to do anything, don't force them. Instead, try to understand why. It's very important. It is something that would help me even as an adult. It's very important to tell your kids that they are different, but it doesn't mean they're worse than others, neurotypical people. I think it
Do you
will
think
help.
it's good? Because sorry to interrupt, because Actually, a few days ago, my son asked me, "Mommy, what is autism?" And I was a bit puzzled how to answer and whether to explain to him that he is on the spectrum. And do you think it's good to say it in the young childhood, or what is your opinion?
I think it depends on the situation. Some can say when your kids are ready. Some can say as earlier the better. Some say when he will understand some things, and then the time needs to come. I think it depends on the situation.
But from
Think
your lifetime, I mean, from your perspective, how would you advise? Would you like to know earlier?
yes, but not in maybe not in very early age when I don't understand anything. Maybe when my parents will notice that I behave differently.
Like after
And
10 years old, you mean after 10, 11 or something?
maybe it's not a certain age, but I wouldn't drop this message on the kids like a bomb, like everything you know about autism and what is going on with your kid. Maybe you can talk to them in portions, a few words here, a few words there, but
Well,
don't
obviously.
hide it. Don't hide it from them. Be there for them. Support them. Do the best they can. There is a future for people like us, and I'm a living example of it. You know, once I had no idea that a different life is possible. I didn't think I will go to work, would go to study in a profession, to make friends, to make girlfriends, well, now ex-girlfriends. I didn't know all this is possible. So when you be there for your kids, this will build their confidence, self-confidence, that they are not alone.
But do you still, now you are 30 years old, do you still feel that you need your mother's support, or you feel more independent? Or, I mean, it can be anybody, not necessarily mother, it can be your relative or a
It
specialist.
depends on it depends on the situation. Sometimes I feel that I can take care of myself, and sometimes when I like more vulnerable, for example, I know I have in my life both. Just a sec. I will tell you exactly what I mean. Mm. You know, even today, when I feel more vulnerable, when I have my ups and downs, so when I'm in my low, I need any support I can get. And the parent support, family support is the most important. The fact that your kids are different, they're as good as any other people. It's not something bad. Sure, autism comes with some difficulties, but with that, it also comes with strengths. Albert Einstein, he was he had an Asperger and he was a genius. And you know, you mentioned before that I am giving hope. Uh, First of all, it's a big honor that to hear that from you as a mother and as a person. Uh, for me, it's important. Uh, when I give hope to people, actually, this is something that I didn't always get when I wasn't their age. And for me, it's important to give hope, to give information to people that they will know. what to do, that they will have a living example before their eyes. And if I succeeded, so can they. For each one, there's a different path. Something you can achieve earlier, something will take more time, but it is possible to succeed. And to strengthen my words, I would like to read a motivating poem. I didn't write it, but it's something that I think describes my success, the place I came in life today, the best. Probably, I think the crowd will recognize it, since it's a pretty known poem in English. It's called "The Man Who Thinks He Can." If you think you're beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but don't think you can't, it's almost certain you won't. If you think you'll lose, you're lost. For out of the world we find, success begins with a fellow's will, it's all in the state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win the prize. Life's battle don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but soon or late the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. For me, that poem describes my path, my process. I went through the best, and it is one of the things that gives me motivation.
Thank you so
Somehow
much.
like that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was very, very nice talking to you. This is Adam. This
You
is
won't
Daniel.
get rid of me that easily.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Daniel.
Hi.
And you are who?
Adam.
How?
My name's Adam.
Nice to meet you.